Rick and Morty Season 7, baby! Episode 1 premiered on Sunday, so naturally it's time for my professional and objectively correct review. Plus, I have some theories and commentary I want to give you guys at the end. I want to stick around on this one. Roll title card. A Zoomer reviews how Mr. Poopy got his poop back. That's a really dumb title.
Guess things went downhill from there. Started isolating myself from Amy. Used to tell her everything I was feeling. But then I guess I stopped.
We open on this mess eating dinner, all angry with Rick's old friend that's been crashing with them forever, who is obviously the best character in all of Rick and Morty, Adolf Winkler. No, it's Mr. PBH, who has been staying with this miss for a long time, drinking his sorrows away after separating from his wife, and low-key guilt-tripping Rick and Beth for ruining his life, which honestly is kind of deserved. I mean, Beth did shoot him and Rick did make him lose his job, but that's neither here nor there. Morty convinces Rick to have an intervention to Mr. PBH and Rick, hating conflict, and lists help with Bird Person, Gearhead, and the GOAT Swanchy. Oh yeah, and Gene's there for some reason. At the bar, Mr. PBH reveals that it's actually his birthday, and feeling guilty, Rick and the gang abandon the intervention and begin to go on a massive drug bender, eventually meeting up with esteemed actor Hugh Jackman. So after going crazy with Hugh Jackman, the group decides to go confront Mr. PBH's wife and attempt to get her back, and it doesn't work. At all. This results in Mrs. PBH's new boyfriend kicking the group's ass while they try to make a getaway with Mr. PBH's son, Mr. Booty Butthole Jr. The only issue is, Mrs. PBH's new boyfriend is a predator. Not that kind of predator. Yeah, that one. During the fight, Rick and Mr. PBH actually manage to talk to each other. Rick apologizes for trying to dump the intervention off on his other friends and for not knowing that it was Mr. PBH's birthday, even though it actually wasn't. Mr. PBH was just testing Rick the whole time. And Mr. PBH apologizes for wearing out his welcome and not having a conversation with Rick and trying to get through things on his own. The two work through their issues. Mr. PBH agrees to leave the house when they get out of this mess. The group resolves the fight with the predator and go to Del Taco to have a party. They all go their separate ways, and Mr. PBH attempts to go work on his life and get back on his feet. Also, Bird Person has a daughter now. Well, he always had one, but they didn't show us the cool episode where they'd save him. Yeah. Okay, review time now. So how do I feel about this episode? Well, look, I like the stuff with TBH, honestly. I feel like it was good of the writers to call out Rick for kind of being a shitty friend, but also more that's consistent with his character and his inability to connect with people. Yes, Rick knows he has to deal with this personally. It's something he should deal with because it's both his family and his friend, plus he's the one that screwed up Mr. PBH's life. But instead, Rick tries to defuse the situation on a Gearhead and Squanchy and Bird Person because he doesn't know how to deal with these things, or maybe he's forgotten to after all the shit he's been through. The two's resolution at the end of the episode was actually a good highlight of the show, and it showed both characters growing in a good and consistent way. To be honest, I really like how Rick has improved the last few seasons, and I'm glad they're keeping with that cycle in this one. I think the cynical asshole vibe are just starting to get old for everyone, even the writers, and this is just a nice breath of fresh air. I hope they continue it with the rest of the season while he continues looking for Rick Prime, and we get a good season of him bonding with Morty and the rest of the family, and kind of just improving as a character and as a grandfather and father. It'd be nice to see a good upset from the rest of the otherwise cynical and kind of angry show, kind of making him the antithesis of Rick Prime, who's a cynical asshole and doesn't need anybody. Meanwhile, our Rick would be this kind of champion of family who's got his family behind him, and that would be the key to beating Rick Prime. The two would already be matched in, scientific combat. Meanwhile, unlike Rick Prime, our Rick has Morty, Summer, and Beth helping him fight, which would actually make him, have a little team of Smiths. It'd be cool to watch. Smiths assemble and all that bullshit. As for the rest of the episode, it was just kind of meh. I liked seeing the old gang get back together. Gearhead's always fun to see. It was nice seeing Mr. PBH actually get some screen time in the middle of the episode. Although I have to admit we aren't getting a Bird Person episode to see him free his daughter, but I guess I have to live with it. And it kind of makes sense because he even said he wouldn't want Rick's help trying to get her back, but still, would have been cool to see. Also, usually I hate the teenage girl trope where it's like, I am an edgy teenage girl who listens to metal and is probably bisexual. I am so cool and so edgy and different. But I feel like this is more of a satirical take on it, kind of like Space Beth. Or at least that's how I choose to see it, but I really hope this isn't just the only note we get on the character because that would be fucking cringe. My main gripe with this episode is the humor though. Well, there's actually some pretty good bits that I laughed out loud at. There's a big Hugh Jackman-sized elephant in the room. I'm gonna come out and say it, I really don't like this type of humor. It just doesn't work for me. What I mean by this humor is what I like to call insert celebrity or random pop culture reference here over and over and over again until you laugh at it. This is the main reason why I don't love Solar Opposites, because it's literally built off of this type of humor. I just don't see the funny point of, look at us doing this goofy interpretation of this celebrity. Aren't we so funny? Look, it's Idris Elba, he's got big dick energy. Oh, you can laugh at that and it's so funny. Granted, it works well with Inside Job, but that's because the show's kind of built around that type of humor, but in a good way. It fits the conspiracy theory humor of the show, like Keanu being a vampire. This doesn't fit well with Rick and Morty because the show kind of lives in a vacuum. It doesn't plant itself in pop culture, and I feel like when it does do that, it doesn't do it well at all. Also, why this group of characters? Bird Person, Squanchy, and the actual GOAT Mr. PBH, plus Rick himself, are probably some of the most beloved side characters in the entire show. Why would you need to add someone else on top of that? Like, these characters can carry an entire episode all by themselves. Plus, if you needed someone to kind of push Mr. PBH towards going after his wife, why not have it be Gene? A character that we already know, and that the writers clearly want to do something with. Just have him be the catalyst to Mr. PBH going after his wife and kid, and maybe have the rest of the group kind of go along with it because, I don't know, peer pressure, and Rick's kind of the voice of reason. I feel like that would have been an overall stronger and funnier show otherwise than, oh, look, it's the Wolverine guy telling us to do stupid shit. Like, it just really didn't work for me. So yes, I feel like Hugh Jackman was a big detractor from the episode and what otherwise would have been a really good season beginning. And now, my oh so precious commentary. Let's start with the voice acting. Honestly, it was really good. Like, I liked it a lot. Part of me was kind of worried we didn't see a whole lot of Morty, which otherwise would be a red flag, but honestly, I was more interested in how Rick was handled. And besides the lack of burping, I feel like Ian Cardone did a really good job. It's definitely a bit different than Rowan's take, but I kind of like it a little bit more? Question mark? It's a bit raspier, but it feels more controlled. And it also feels like it fits the character well. Like, a lot of the subtle nuances of Rick are there, but just with some changes, kind of holding back the more gravelly and angry aspect of it that Roiland brought. It feels as if the character has almost quit drinking in a way, or maybe just eased up on his lungs. Honestly, it feels as if we're entering a new era of Rick and Morty. Because this episode said itself, it's establishing a lot of canon, specifically establishing different parts of the Rick and Morty lore. Fans have noticed that the writers have been very keen to show when we have seen these myths before, and when we haven't. I think that's because they're doing something with the season 5 Morty, but I'm not sure what. But I'm working on a theory video about it right now. Maybe an evil Morty storyline. Ooh. His name is Wayne? What the fuck?